My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. I'm only here to even a score. Whoa. My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. We down right now, but did it before. Whoa. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up.
What up, Night Nation, and welcome to the Nighted Ones podcast, episode number 101. We made it through 100 and celebrated with a heck of a win this past week that we're excited to talk about with you. As a reminder, we are the only podcast that features a former UCF national champion, a former UCF radio host, an ESPN analyst and hoops player, an infamous rapper, our resident influencer, and an IG star shooting the breeze talking UCF sports. Remember to like and follow us on YouTube, IG, and check out the 70-plus teams and conferences on the College Huddle. And check out the Big 12 Huddle, 4th in Florida, and the new stream coming soon. So, hello, everyone. Do we feel a lot better about the offense? I know I do. So excited to see you guys this week. Last week was surely animated on our 100th episode. And this week we're a little shorthanded. Everybody's still, I guess, on the win hangover. But we do have two of our illustrious members of the team. First, AP from KC. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Last week kind of felt almost like a little bit like Nightline and Friends, didn't it?
It did. It was nice. It was fun. This even feels more like Nightline, which is even weirder.
I know. All we need is Ben, right?
I know. Yeah. So are we starting already? Are we talking about the game?
Nope. We gotta leave. We gotta leave.
Have a segment,
Josh, because as always, last but not least.
Oh, he's here.
Josh
Okay.
Lazar.
I didn't see him, so I didn't.
He's back.
Nixon opened up. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second because I saw some of the show comments. You ready? Okay. Nixon opened up the night kickoff down the lane. Crowd roared as he passed defenders in the rain. 96 yards later, the bounce house shook insane. First return since 17, they both hit the same lanes. Jackson took the huddle, cool hand steady aim, dropping dimes in the line like a video game. The O-line clearing highways, push bodies out the way. 356 on the ground, and they still have more to say. Kelly hit the field strip sack, lit the fuse. Laura fell on the floor, got a 6, not 2. Crowd caught the fever. We had no chance to lose. 40-0 at the break. The fans locked in a groove. Aggie shirt first answers. The rhythm was so tight. Pause. UCF running laps and nothing slowing down the nights. Coaches on the sideline smiled at the sight. 2s and 3s are in, but still scoring through the night. Special teams electrics for spark from them in years. Post reels, quicks, caption stacks with all the cheers. Final 68-7, looking kind of clear. The statement is a fluke. Our Big 12 peers in fear. First attempt in quite a while. I thought, give it a try. Gotta end like the next week. It's a bye.
It's a bye. All right.
Close.
Close. Josh,
It's
other
close.
than your internet, getting a little choppy there, that was actually good. Thank you for chopping it up once again. We brought back the raps, which I like to hear. And this one was a good week to do it. Had plenty to talk about. We have plenty to talk about this week. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start off with our text talk. So Andrew, I asked you to take a look at our text, and which text did you have for us this week?
I do have a text, but I have to say though, Josh, that like internet like coming in and out, people pay for that effect. So you got that. Like,
well, he's definitely paying. He's paying for his internet.
You got it. I mean, we can make some music, my friend. I got all kinds of music making equipment here. Maybe we need to add some beats to the flow.
That works.
All right, we may have to do.
I would love that. If I wanted the chop and screw, I'd
Whoa.
we'll do that for a huge
Well, the
thing.
internet is cutting out
Figure-
again.
All right, Andrew, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go with that text talk because that's selective
That
words.
was weird. That was weird. Okay, the text talk was something I hadn't heard in a long time that brought back a lot of good memories. Cheese and bread, that boy is fast.
Cheese and bread, that boy is fast.
That's-
Harkening back to AK.
Yeah, that was good. We haven't heard that in a while. We haven't heard that, like, people are super fast. We've obviously got some quick dudes out there now, and that's one of the things that I was expecting and excited about that Frost was back, was the speed that he would bring to the team.
Yeah, him and Thomas. Black is actually pretty quick as well at wideout. But Thomas has definitely got some speed. Nixon had some speed. I didn't think he was that fast, but he got going in a hurry. And it wasn't just the competition that he was up against. He was moving going down the field. I'd be interested to see. We used to actually clock them and say, okay, look, how fast are you going? And we have those little things on there that can track them. And, some of these guys were 22, 23, 24.
I'm sure that data is probably out there someplace.
Well, I'm sure Frost has it. Whether we can find it or not is a whole different ball of wax, because the UCF social media team used to put that out there to highlight the speed.
You could technically do it with frame rate and all that stuff, and because the distance, it's clearly marked out. You could calculate it. I just don't know how to do it. Maybe ChatGPT can help me with that.
There you go. All right, Josh, did you have a text talk for us this week?
I did, but I want to see if I'm still chopped and screwed. Are we good? Or is it better?
It's better. So let's keep it going.
Okay. So sorry about that. Yeah, we'll as I said, we'll get some Houston stuff back when we get in. So yeah, we were talking about all kinds of stuff, and AP saying he's not a Nirvana fan, and I said Right to Jail was up there.
You had to call me out. You had to call me out.
No, it's okay. It's
okay. You had to let everybody know. I was trying to keep that secret.
Listen, it's okay. It is okay. Not everyone has the same lyrical desires. What I will say is one of the best things that I said. So I got new seats for this game. I was 4 seats away from the 50-yard line on the home side. So when I saw it was about the 20 or 30-yard line, and before he did that jump cut, I told the people around him he's gone. And he did that same exact Mike Hughes cut. And I said, I texted like, I called it. And I will tell you, this game was fun. And I know it's not the competition we will play week in and week out, but it's been a while since I've had like fun.
This is what everybody loves.
I agree. So yeah, I mean, yeah. I agree. So it was definitely more of the text talk about like how this is everything was better. The intro was better. The fireworks were better. The lights were better. Everything. And my thing was that was just like Hughes right before they did all the cuts and social media about this stuff. So yeah,
I think for me too. I think for me too, Josh. I mean, just getting Zombie Nation right, and then. I don't know if they were in the state. I wasn't in the stadium for this game. I don't know if they showed it or they played it in the stadium, but there was like a cut up of that song, a remix of that song that was playing on ESPN Plus. That was really good. It was really well done. So I think overall, from an experience perspective, it sounded great on TV. It looked great on TV. It seemed like they got their act together because the first game, production was not good.
Yeah.
So I will say to your point, Josh,
I will say this.
Go ahead, Josh.
I'll be quick. There was a new cut up of that. So they flowed in some more modern music and then cut it into current craft. So it might have been the same you heard on ESPN as we heard there, but it was a mix of feed of things that led up to Zombie Nation 2. It like everything was like 1,000% better. Like whether it was feedback from to Terry and Jimmy and crew,
Oh, there was
or
plenty
they
of
were just
feedback.
testing things out on a Thursday.
No,
There was,
it was.
and this
They
is
should have been ready, and it doesn't sound like they were. I mean, production
No.
is what I do
No,
for
absolutely not.
business, and yeah, doesn't sound like they were ready.
Yeah, the big thing for me is
No.
there should never be a UCF game where we don't kick off to Zombie Nation getting ready to get started. In the first game, we didn't. And that was the first thing I said, and I couldn't believe it. That being said, let's, as far as the energy is concerned, that whole game, like I said, from the kick, right, was completely different energy than that first game was. I don't know if it was because I don't know why that was, because the first game we actually kicked on time, right? But then we had the delay. This time we kicked late, but everybody was hopping. Everybody stayed. It looked great on TV. It sounded great on TV. And the team had energy from that starting kickoff all the way to the end of it, whether it was on defense, whether we were talking about on offense or anything else. Taven Jackson got the start like we expected that he would. And he did pretty well. He was 12 of 21, so not quite 60% passing, 189 yards, and 2 rushing TDs. He also, put some work in on the ground. He had it wasn't just the TDs, but he was also moving the chains. The most impressive thing for me of Taven Jackson of that whole game, number one, the guy has a rocket of an arm. And his release is phenomenal. I mean, he can throw Justin Holman numbers, but he doesn't always throw lasers. The other thing that impressed me was he rolled out to I think it was the near side. And when he was rolling out, he never squared. He threw the ball on the run about 30 yards down the field and was on target. That never getting your feet set and being able to roll out and throw like that with that type of velocity for that distance and to the sideline was something of beauty because it was accurate. Mike also says here, the biggest fix was the refs not messing with, we are a clean show, Mike, with Taven's audio from the coaches. So I agree with that. But the big thing for me, I think Taven Jackson in his debut as starter, I think he came across poised. He demonstrated his arm. Now, the biggest glaring thing that I saw from Taven Jackson that I want to see more of, and this is not his fault, is he needs more snaps with the ones as far as the receivers are concerned. The receivers themselves, there were 3 drops. I think 2 of them belonged to Taven, so those weren't on him. But by and large, he put it on target. He had a well-thrown ball. The receivers were just a step or 2 out of sync. And that's just practice, folks. That's getting with your ones and being able to get reps. Because remember, he was sharing snaps with the I don't even know if he was sharing snaps with the ones. He was sharing snaps with the ones to start. And then once he did that, then he took over mid-game, last game, and that's all he's had with the ones, and he was the latest arriving quarterback. So I think you'll see as the games go on that there will be more and more folks and more passes that are connecting, because that was the only blip in his game. Otherwise, he looked poised. He looked collected. I like his frame. I like the way he releases the ball. He looked off some guys on defense. Now, again, this is NCANT, and the other thing that I saw from him that I didn't like is there were times where he had a good pockets because the O-line did a great job on pass blocking, not so much on rush blocking. But on pass blocking, they did a great job. He waited around a hair too long in the pocket. So what did you guys think overall about the performance of Taven Jackson? Is he our QB1?
Without question. You'd be stupid at this point. You don't do that. Like you don't, when a guy has, I just don't feel like Frost is going to put the other guy back in because they created some chemistry, I think. It's a bad way to lose your spot, or maybe you can work your way back into that spot or whatever. But like, he's created chemistry with him. I personally don't think a lot of the receivers things. I don't know if you saw me when you said that. I was kind of like, whoa. The receivers are the ones that were off. His throws were not off that much, in my opinion. The receivers were a step behind, or they went the wrong direction. The other thing with him is he throws the ball effortlessly, like smooth. Like, I think he can throw it from other angles too, which is pretty cool. We've seen what that does for you in the NFL. But yeah, like, he has to be the starting quarterback. I don't think there's any question, personally.
Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I will say, and there might have been one or two that were off, but we're not talking more than that. There was, I think it was Burke, one of the first deep passes that jumped early versus just running through the ball, and like everyone around me were like, we saw the replay and like he just jumped, or he had no need to jump. He just literally runs and the ball's in the breadbasket. There's a couple where one of the things I did like a lot, and I think AP was saying that they showed this on TV too. There was a pass to the end zone where the wide receiver and the quarterback were not on the same page, and it seemed like it was the wide receiver running the wrong route. Jackson goes to the wide receiver as he's walking back, pats him on the back, and basically give them the next shot up. You're going to get it. That type of move. We might have all done that to someone who has made a mistake or had that done to us. So there was so much there that was positive.
They did show that on TV. I remember that now.
Yeah, and yeah. I would say, yes, it's hard to lose your spot to an injury, and from everything that we've heard and seen, the issue was competitiveness in practice and showing it in practice, because what you do in practice shows up on the field. And there's very few people who are practice. We're not talking about practice, right? There are people who can do that and perform on this big stage. And I do feel like Jackson's not being the QB1 the first week did light that fire. And we've seen that part of it against a team that we should have beaten like this anyway. There's some of that to be said too, but it looks about as good as we've had since early Gabriel. And I feel like I think this is a no-brainer. And I don't know if Roger put this up, someone talking about Jacurri Brown might be number 2. That I don't know. Again, back issues are tough, man.
Did you hear you guys remember what I said about that about him? I want to know if he can catch the ball. Yeah, he would be a hell of a wide receiver. The way that he runs, he's so elusive when he runs. He's not that fast, and he's so like lanky and everything, but like he just makes all the right moves. Like it's crazy, and he lifts his knees high when he runs, so that's why people can't catch his ankles. Like, he is good. A very elusive runner, and man, he could be a freaking weapon if he could catch the ball. Personally,
well, here's the thing with the QB situation, right? So I don't think JB
not saying that he's not a good quarterback. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm
he's one of those guys that
I'm going to say that I'm not going to say he's not a good quarterback. He didn't show that he could be a quarterback yet. Last year, he showed that he could be a quarterback. Or tried to, and he wasn't a very accurate passer. He was a 50% passer, right? Then this year, he comes in the second half. There was 21 pass attempts in the first half with Taven Jackson. There were 3 in the entirety of the second half.
Right.
3. That includes JB, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? The problem. Yes, he's an elusive runner. Yes, he can take off. Last year, he showed a tendency, and he does a little bit here too, to pull the ball a little too often out of the running back when we have plays like that. And if he's going to be one-dimensional, he's not going to be successful, certainly not in the Big 12, because those lines are going to eat him up. The other
part, him throw the ball, though.
I agree.
That's see him at least at some point throw the freaking ball.
Well, that's the question is, like, has he progressed at all? Because he historically has been a 50 passer. Remember, he was a 4-star quarterback that went to Miami and then transferred.
He's got the quarterback guru in his room, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see if he's had enough time with him.
He will go down as a quarterback guru. He was taught by one. He'll go down trust me on that. Just mark this down. Anyway.
All right. So hot take from Andrew.
Always.
That being said, I think, Taven Jackson definitely showed he is the number one quarterback. He has the ability to throw accurately. He has, the ability to throw. We haven't had, one of my text talks is we haven't had a QB that has been able to consistently throw the ball, basically since Dylan Gabriel, right? That was the last time we had it. And then people were, looking at and comparing his ball versus the balls thrown by DG. And I think DG had that rainbow pass that was it skied up there and then dropped right into the breadbasket. I think he has a more flat pass, but he has more velocity on it. And so
he has a stronger arm, I think.
Yeah, it's different. And he's a 63% career passer. And folks are talking about that. Not everybody's going to be DG as a passer. We've got someone who can pass and someone who can run. He ran for a touchdown. He has the ability to be mobile. And he's going to need to be, because I can tell you this right now. I think we did a much better job on the offensive line this week in pass pro, but in running, it's terrible. I mean, we couldn't, goal line offense has been a problem for UCF for the past 2 years. We got down to the goal line and we were stuffed at the goal line. Again, we are not getting any push in the running attack. This on PFF this week, Paul Rubelt scored extremely high. It was in the 80s on pass pro. Or on running, it was 64, right? So nobody was above that 70 range. So, and that was against this team, right, which is even lower than what Jacksonville State is. So my concern is going into conference, right, and going into UNC or any other game, is are we going to be able to effectively use Jaden Nixon or Miles Montgomery, because we can't get push through the front. So I think for me, if I'm looking at it, I'm looking for Scott Frost to start utilizing those three guys a little bit differently than what he is straight through, the A gap. Because when he was here the first time around, they would run through the A gap with AK, and people were like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? He's setting up other plays. He did the same thing the previous week, right? Where he was third down. Everybody thought we were playing for the field goal. And then all of a sudden we popped a pass over the top. Explosive plays, we're starting to see those. But that offensive line, once we get into conference, they are going to have to be able to establish the run, or we're going to have to go sideline to sideline. And the one thing I do like, though, in the passing game is Taven Jackson has the ability to consistently go to the sideline in the short field, and he has the ability to consistently go to the middle of the field and pass effectively. So that's going to be able to allow us to loosen up those defenses and keep people out of the box, right? Especially
we still haven't seen much of this offense either.
Oh, no.
I mean, there's a lot more.
What's interesting about that is we all know the Fighting Jordan's Boyfriends won 17-3 somewhere in Charlotte, and they trolled the heck out of them there too. That was great. I don't know if we're going to keep seeing more stuff out of UNC. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be there and install, and it's probably going to show up, but who knows who we're really playing against in the context of, are they going to be any good? And it seems like the answer is no. So are we going to show anything there either?
So what UNC has done, and I'm adding to your point, and then I want you to keep going. What UNC has done thus far is they've been able to run the ball effectively, and they've had a decent defense and kept things low scoring. Now, again, look at who their opponents are, right? But that's been their bread and butter. They have not shown the ability to pass. They have one quarterback that seems to be a decent passer, and they've got one quarterback that is basically a running quarterback, and that's all he does. So their offense is what's hurting them right now. It's offensive. So do I believe that our offense will be better? Yeah. Do I believe that our D-line, if we can stack the box against a basically running team, do I think that we can maintain the edges and get some pressure, at least enough to slow their offense down? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
But it's going to be a shootout.
I agree. It'd be funny if it was, but it could be. It was interesting. Anthony in the chat is talking about Frost picking up a lot of influence from the Rams, which is why we're weird seeing a huddle and we're weird seeing a quarterback under center. And I'm intrigued.
We're not weird. We weren't weird the
NFL,
first time around.
Obviously, Bill Belichick, but this might ish. Like an NFL game-ish, not NFL where we don't have the same players. Well, let's just get out of the way. But the feel of it could be a little bit like that, with more than likely Frost putting in the tweaks that he's already had within his offense. And listen, if you have the right line, Belichick is kind of sort of playing like O'Leary played here with big lines, doing big things, controlling the tempo on the ball, and being methodical and all. That's if that's what we're all seeing. If you have the right personnel, it can work. I mean, everyone was really hyped up to see a Texas Ohio State game that was like 6-4. Whatever, because in essence, it was two really, really good defenses, really, holding back two pretty good offenses. And that can work when you have the right personnel and the right funding to get there. So I'm saying to the original AP point, I'm not sure. We definitely haven't seen a lot. And I don't know how much more we're going to see if we can continue to do some of these things. And there's that continuity from this game in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I think to AP's point, we're not seeing everything that we're going to show. And we're doing that for a reason. Yeah. We didn't have to show it the first 2 games. Now, that being said, Jacksonville State.
Don't have to show it this week either. I mean, next week either, really, with UNC, I don't think.
Well, we don't have
I'm not sure.
We don't have
I think he's going to save a lot of stuff for conference play. There will be a lot of plays you've never seen before. That's just the way it works. It's always like that.
Well, they start, the other thing people need to realize too is, especially with our group that was thrown together last minute, like it was, relatively speaking, right? They need to understand the base offense, and they don't have a whole lot of time to figure that out during camp. So they're going to add. They don't start adding until week 1. So they're going to add layers into this offense every single week, and they'll have a game plan for each week. And each week, especially based off of those scripted plays that they have the first series of scripted plays, they'll fold those in. And then they'll go back to the other ones, and then they'll have like 2 or 3 plays that are going to be plays for big yardage that are designed to take advantage of some sort of weakness that they see in the defense, right? Scott Frost talks about explosive plays. That's how we won in 2017. And that's what he's trying to build up to. And he's done that consistently.
He's also just figuring out who he's got. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And he was not happy at all about, if you watch the press conference, about the way that it went. That was the way I expected him to act last week, but I think he was just relieved anyway. But he was more upset this week than he was last week, which was upsetting to me in a way. Anyway,
well, he was.
But yeah,
I'm with you. I think he was just relieved at getting the win after all that, the whole BS throughout the entire. I think you are not wrong. He definitely should have
been back in the bounce house, relieved to get the win, relieved to come out of there not looking like a fool. I mean, because if he would have lost that game, the very first game, that's bad. That would have put a downer on the entire thing from the start.
Yeah.
Well, I think
calling for him to be fired already.
I think the thing that I was looking for Scott Frost was the fire, right? So one of the things that his first time around, being a former player, he was fired up. He had the get back coach, right? That was holding him from yelling at refs and everything else. but he had that fire. That first game that we played against Jacksonville State, he was almost stoic. It's like
probably overwhelming. Like,
I don't care why it is. I don't want to see that, right? The guy who's a player's coach,
he's older now. He's older now.
You know, during basketball season, I talked about this with Johnny Dawkins all the time. I'm glad Ben's not here because he would yell at me for this. But you know, with Scott Frost, he's a player's coach. He's the guy that's on there. That's part of his allure. He needs to be amped up and energetic, just like the rest of the players are, right? He doesn't need to be yelling at people. He doesn't need to be doing that, but he does need to be energetic and fired up and look like he's in the game. So
I love it when he yells at people personally.
Well,
especially referees. I love it.
Yeah, when he yells at referees, yeah, I love that too.
If you can read lips, man, whew, you'd be shocked.
Tim agrees with you. He said, I said last week that Frost needed the win for his own self-esteem and to shut those Husker Cornholio naysayers and to prove to us that he was the right choice. Wow, that was a mouthful. So,
100%. Tim's a smart guy.
And then Mike comes back. I'd rather him be calmer than Brian Kelly.
Wow.
Well,
so that's a statement.
So I agree with that. But, ultimately, at the end of the day, I agree. I like the fact his sideline demeanor was better and more engaged and really pumped up when the players scored and all that other fun stuff. So we need to see that side of Scott Frost again. Now, someone that you should be pumped out about again, we talked about Nixon, right? And his return, right? I mean, first kickoff. That's the first time that's happened, I think, since 2017, since Mike Hughes returned to kick. So,
and it wasn't at the beginning of a game. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to interrupt. Yeah. Whoever in the comments, it's all good. Yes, I'm going to interrupt. Anyway.
So the last time, I wasn't going to do this for trivia because it's been out there. The last time we had a kickoff for a touchdown was Quincy McDuffie, I believe, in 2010, like 15 years. It was
opening kickoff.
I will tell you that it was phenomenal.
Opening kickoff.
Yeah, opening kickoff. Yeah.
That is such a big momentum
correct.
Though. I mean, I wasn't there, but I bet that stadium just lit on fire. I felt it before. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for the last one either. That's a long story if you remember. Anyway, did a radio show on YouTube. I mean, that just set the tone. And I think that things were, I had a good feeling after that. Things were going to go well, and obviously they did. That does so much for a sideline, though. Like when you're there, just the feeling that you, as a player, that you get is amazing when something like that happens. So,
well, I think the big thing for me was it was like a sigh of relief from everybody because there was so much pent up energy. Like, okay, we saw some of the errors and mistakes that we had last week, right, against Jacksonville State, and we were like, okay, what do we have in this team? It just started the game off right. Nixon then goes on, and he has 4 rushes for 156 yards, 2 TDs, and one kickoff return for a touchdown, which earned him Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. Then Stacey Gage, he had 30 yards for a TD. We had 200-yard rushers, and I think Nixon was averaging something like some crazy stats.
Like 11.6 or something crazy like that.
No, I think it was like 29 because it's 4 for 156. So
no, it was 40. You know what I was thinking of RJ Harvey last night in the Denver game. He was 11.6. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
39. 39.
I had 11.6 in my head from thinking about that.
I mathed right. So it was 39 39 yards per attempt, which is an insane number. I'd have to look. I don't know, Josh, 39. If you can look it up in the meantime to see if you could find out if that's an NCAA record, because that was nuts. And here's another good stat.
It's on Mike number of plays. I've already looked actually, and you have to have more touches for it to be like a real record like that.
So
9 or more carries, I think, normally.
Okay. Well, here's that 9 carries. Jaden Jaden Nixon has touched the ball 9 times this year and has had 3 scored touchdowns. So there's your number 9 right there for you, and that's all that matters. I mean, a third of the time that he's touching the ball, he's scoring touchdowns. So we got to figure out ways to get him more involved in the game. Obviously, we did that on the kickoff return game, but I think he showed how much of a special player he actually is. And remember, Nixon was a Power 4 player too. He started at Oklahoma State, and he was behind their number 1 running back who got embarrassed here during the space game at OSU. And, he transferred, and then he transferred again and came back to us. So he is a Power 4 running back. This is not a G5 running back that moved up to the power conferences. He was just behind somebody else that he wasn't going to be able to get any playing time after for 2 years. So it was, Jaden Nixon's a special talent. It'll be interesting to see how we mix him in going forward. I was happy to see Stacey Gage, get some run time too. A lot of the other players got in. The defense, we haven't even talked about the defense. We've been talking about the offense, right? The defense generated a lot of points in the first half. We had a strip sack, from the defense, which was awesome. Nigel Kelly got in there, got his big paw on there. We knocked 3. I didn't realize we knocked all 3 of their quarterbacks out. And I'm not laughing because, I'm happy that somebody got hurt, but it was crazy to me because the first 2 got with an elbow, right? And then the last one, the collarbone, and he continued to play. So they left that game with 1 quarterback on their roster.
Yeah, and the first 2 basically had elbow issues.
Dislocations.
Yeah.
They dislocated.
I called that in the chat, by the way. Look back. Because I saw it. We were talking about it. They both landed with their elbow, their hand out weird on the turf, and like the people on TV were like, wow, is there something weird with the turf or whatever? I don't know how they both landed exactly the same way, basically, but they did. Same exact thing, same exact injury. Just crazy. It was odd.
Then remember, Jordan McDonald was in because of last week's targeting call, right? So he got the start. He ended up with an interception. Edwards had 6 tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss. Laura had a big game. He had 6 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and a recovered fumble. Nigel Kelly, like we talked about, 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL. And Malachi Lawrence had 3 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, and 1 sack. So when you're talking about what the defense did, the defensive line looked really, really good against a team that they should look really, really good against. They were able to get pressure. The big thing that I saw in this game is that we maintained the lanes. They were trying to run outside to stretch the field a little bit against us because they did have a few speedy backs, and their quarterback, I don't remember which one. The first one, I think, was relatively quick. So they were trying to stretch the field. We actually maintained it. The linebacker play was excellent. And we tackled. And the big thing I keep saying over and over again, I said this last week, I said it this week, and they mentioned it on the broadcast too, is there's always, it's not just one hat that's near the football. There's at least 3 or 4 guys, or there's one guy that slows the other guy down or pushes him to the boundary. And then you've got 2, 3, 4 other hats to the football immediately. This team is fast. This team is tackling fundamentally well. I don't know what was happening under Gus Malzahn, but this team tackled fundamentally well, and they're all going to the football at the same time. Now, if you've got that speed, that means it should translate to the Big 12 as we get into conference play as well, right? So the big thing now is for the defensive line to prove what we've called them a strength all year, the number 1 position group all year. They need to be able to prove that. And I think they will against UNC. But the line play from this game, the biggest glaring question marks I have is, can the offensive line establish the run, especially in short yardage situations or goal line situations, to be able to get push on the running plays? 2, can the defensive line get consistent push against players that are, Power 4 linemen? So football games go the way linemen go, but this defense looked really, really stout and did what I expected them to do. They didn't get on the board until, and I felt kind of bad for them, but I didn't. I was not as sad that we didn't blank them because, at the end of the day, it was the fourth stringers out there that got that last touchdown. But I'm sure they were upset. Team stats for UCF: 560 yards. It's been a long time since we've seen 560 yards. NC A&T had 200 total yards. UCF had 204 passing yards. NCAT had 40 passing yards. UCF had 356 rushing yards. NCAT had 160. Now, granted, some of those were those long runs that we had that were for touchdowns, right? 50, 80-yard runs. Miles Montgomery had that long one that was called back. It seems like that Miles Montgomery, I feel so bad because it seems like I think he's had 3. We talked about it in the chat. I think he's had 3 scores called back for holding penalties.
I mentioned it that he has 0 touchdowns for the year.
It's weird.
I don't think that's normal. Something.
Yeah.
Something. I don't want to see that stat for much longer like that. That's a problem.
I will. Some of that. Yeah. Some of that is the callback. Some of that is that he makes it down to the 2-yard line and he gets stuffed the next play, and then it's a rollout with Jackson for a touchdown.
He's working Jackson, way too hard as well
to not have any TDs.
Because he runs. I mean, dude, that guy can do all kinds of crazy stuff. He stops and starts and turns in the smallest little circle. That's what is great about him, I think. But the O-line has to open bigger holes, especially if we're running up the middle like that. I'm sure you said that, or somebody said that already, but that's a big problem. I think.
Well, the big problem for me is goal line. A big part of what you're saying there is Miles Montgomery, right?
Same thing.
We get down to the inside, the 5-yard line, and we're not getting enough push. But that's been the same thing.
Not getting enough push on the 30 or the 50-yard line either.
Well, yeah, I agree with
rushing from the offensive line, not getting nearly enough push.
I agree with that.
And this was, they had some pretty big defensive line players, but nothing like you're going to see with the next game or the next game after that and the next game after that and the next game after that. So they better get their stuff together. We're going to have big problems running the ball, except around the outside. And then everybody's going to figure out, all they can do is go out the outside.
Well, if they do that, then what do? You offset by passing it up the middle, and you break.
Got to be able to run the ball, though. I'm not disagreeing. To be able to run the ball.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think to your point, you can offset it in different ways. If we go sideline to sideline, okay, cool. If they start stacking the box, then you pass the ball into the middle of the field in the 10 to 20-yard range, which we have not had for 3 or 4 years. We haven't had the ability to do that. We've leaked the tight end out a few times, but outside of that, there hasn't been anybody that's been able to accurately pass there. And we do have that in TJ now, which will help us offset some of that as well. UCF held NC-A&T to 5 of 17 on third downs. Let me ask you guys this. Should we be concerned that there have been 0 passing TDs in 2 games against these 2 teams?
He threw 2 in the first game.
There was definitely passing TDs. There was no passing TDs in this game.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean in this game, that we didn't have any in this game.
Well, a couple of them were passes to the 1-yard line. So one, if
but those are hard. Those are the harder throws to make.
Yeah,
sometimes.
And you're not wrong. And there was a couple that if someone would have ran through the ball instead of jumped, it would have been a touchdown. But no, I'm not worried about it at this point. I feel comfortable with a quarterback that can run if need be, has the passing talent, and I'm really looking forward to this game in 2 weeks to figure out against a team that by all funding and level should give us enough challenge, period. It might be very challenging, but should give us a challenge to show us what we're really at, regardless of the outcome of the game. So
remember that play that we were talking about a little while ago where he threw the ball to Zero, whoever Zero is, Wade?
Yeah.
That was that. I think that was that play. Anyway, I'm watching the game as we speak, so
Tim says,
about something on the screen. I apologize.
Tim says, "Did we move the ball? Yes.
Yeah.
Did we score? Yes. What's
Yeah,
the
and
problem?
then it was wet too.
yeah,
You know, like you're not going to throw the ball around nearly as much in those conditions as you would.
Well, I would say
why?
we didn't.
Why
throw
would
the
we
ball.
throw in that game?
Yeah, we didn't
well,
need to.
Well, we threw.
Didn't hurt us.
I think we should because we need more reps with the receivers. Number one, and to help show that we can offset balance, especially if
I think a lot of it was wet. To be honest with you,
I don't think so. I think a lot of it was that we had
Frost was being conservative because it was wet.
I think it was because we had JB in the second half. We had 21 pass attempts in the first half. We had 3 when GB was in. So that tells you why we didn't have more TDs. But to Mike's point, there were 3 should have been TDs as well. So I personally, I think I'm not concerned about it. I am concerned about the drop balls. I'm concerned that Burke dropped a couple. I'm concerned that Black has dropped a couple over the past few games. So, that is one concern. The rest of them, some of them are miscommunication. Some of them are just receivers, getting to the point where they've got enough reps in with their quarterback that the quarterback can put the ball exactly where they need it to be. I think we have the arm talent. I think he has the ability. As far as defensively, I think that, what I'm really looking for against UNC is how does this D-line do against a P4 D-line, although Jacksonville State pretty much had a P4 or O-line. Jacksonville State, and we talked about this after the first game, pretty much had a P4 O-line. They actually had 2 UCF players. It wasn't just the one that got kicked out, but Curtis Perry was also a UCF player last year that was on their team as well. They had several former 4-star players that transferred to Jacksonville State, and they did what they needed to do against Liberty as well, which Liberty was, I believe, if they weren't ranked, they were expected to be ranked coming into the season, expected to do really well under Chadwell, which we were looking at for head coach when Scott Frost was hired. All right. So long and short, who do you guys think should be the starter at UNC? Do you think it's Jackson? Because I do.
Without question.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
No brainer, without question.
As long as he's healthy, and he sounds like it should be, no brainer.
I will say
been
this.
a Pete DeNovo situation as well.
I will say this too. I really think someone mentioned special teams on here. Special teams was a lot better and has been a lot better the last 2 games. One, they've been more aggressive. I still think I need to go back and look at the punts. I think we should have had a few more punt returns, but they were decent. But more importantly, the Gunners this past week on special teams have been really good, and we've been really good at getting after the punter and getting after kickers. So from that perspective,
they have a blocked something in the first game?
Yes, we did. We had a block field goal, I believe. Yeah, block field goal. So they've played a lot better. I think we're not afraid to kick from 30 yards out anymore, which is nice, which we have been the last 2 seasons. I know that isn't saying much because we were at a wealth of riches at the kicker
Didn't
position.
that guy shank one, though, either this game or the first game?
He did an extra point.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game, right?
Yes, this game. 1 extra point.
Well, I mean,
but generally speaking,
we got there. I think we have multiple people, though.
We do. The thing that to me, though, is I'm not afraid if we line up for a 35 or a 40-yard field goal anymore like I was when Boomer and some of the other folks were here. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to I don't want to talk about UNC just yet. I want to talk about UNC next week. I do want to say this, though. Next week, we will have one of our sister podcasts from the network on that will be from, it's called the Heel Brothers, which is the UNC version of the podcast for our network. So we'll have them on next week to talk about UNC and what their expectations are. It's pretty interesting because they're having a little bit of a mini meltdown over there too. It's like the anti Colorado, right? When now Bill Belichick got all of this fanfare. First game, you've got Michael Jordan there, you've got all the alumni there, and they flamed out. So they're in a little bit of tailspin from a fan perspective. So it'll be interesting as well. Mike, are you sure about that? He's correcting me. I'm pretty sure Curtis Perry was, but we'll check into that and come back.
He got to Alabama for 2 years, and then he went to Virginia Tech, and then he went to Jack State.
He was recruited here.
Yes, yeah. You probably remember him. I did some research on the side. I think him and Jordan McDonald were friendly on some visits, and they kind of they were having conversations with each other. There was tweets of him in UCF gear. So yeah, I mean, there was a connection there. He was recruited, but he went to Alabama for 2 years, then to VT, now to Jack State.
Well, either way, it's still a P4 player. So that's
formally.
So I stand corrected. Yeah, formally. I stand corrected, Mike. I apologize. I messed that up. I remembered him. I thought he was, I guess we were just recruiting him heavily. All right. So that's really all I'm going to say about UNC. But next week, we'll have the Heel Brothers on the show to give the North Carolina perspective. Conversely, I will be on their show. So I'll be posting that up as well. So we'll be cross-posting that on when I talk to them and go into the Heel Brothers studio about this game. I will say this. Where we stand right now, is there anything that will happen next week with UNC's game next week that would make you feel worse about our chances against UNC, or do you feel pretty good about UNC? Because when I started the season, I circled that one as a winnable game. What do you guys think?
I would say like Blutarski's GPA 0.0, nothing. They can get blown out by Richmond. I'd be fine. They can blow out Richmond. I'd be fine. They are who they put out on video at this point. And I'm not saying we're TCU. I love that Josh Hooker came back for TCU. And I think we see what happens when you have continuity with QBs and have some money spend there too. But yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I think we know what we're getting. We have more evidence of what this is, and hopefully it's as good as the game we think it will be. Nothing will change my mind at this point.
Andrew, thoughts?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
You put him to sleep, Josh.
You put him to sleep. I was trying to get into the chat because I wanted to respond to somebody. I was trying to log into the chat, and I'm in a different browser.
AP learns technology.
I don't have my password to that account.
Whoa. So
I have multiple YouTube accounts.
So Mark says for him, he says the next 4 games against UNC, K-State, Kansas, each now.
That's the one I wanted to respond to.
I figured. That's why I brought it up, because I figured it was the Kansas one.
Wins. They ain't no slouch. I hope that you don't think that that Kansas is a slouch. I agree with you 100% about UNC and K-State. K-State is trash. Absolute trash. That's the worst team they've had in years. Army beat them. Like
I might have to go there.
You don't lose to Army as a Big 12 team. You just don't. Especially at home. Like that's bad.
Yeah, it's that for K-State. I mean, I actually when we were talking about the preseason, we did a preseason show with the huddle, right? The college football huddle. And they were talking about the Big 12, and it was me and Calvin and a few other people, right? And he's the OSU guy. And oh my gosh, when we talk about the Big 12, we'll talk about OSU. But I was
They're the other
expecting
slouch.
I was expecting K-State to be a contender this year.
They were ranked.
Well, I know they were one of the highest ranked, but I expected them to be a
That was
contender
dumb.
for the
That's
championship.
another reason you don't pay attention to preseason rankings, because they're absolute crap.
Oh my gosh.
It is a complete guess.
I
Oh
agree.
my gosh. Well, Avery,
Florida?
well, Florida's not a guess. They get ranked up there that high every year. It's just like Miami did when they
Well, it's
flamed
the
out
same
every
thing,
single
though.
year,
That's what I'm saying. It's about a name and who
Yeah.
knows what else goes into
I don't
getting
think
ranked
so. I
in the
think-
preseason. Oh,
I-
please.
Come
on.
Listen,
Are you
Andrew.
serious?
Listen, K-State. Listen, K-State, I disagree with you on, right? Because K-State brought back Avery Johnson. They brought back a lot of their team. I expected them to be a competitive team. Last year, I didn't. Their defense was.
Oh my God, Mark. Sorry.
Mark
Go ahead.
Daniels is on the
Go ahead.
call.
Go ahead.
Okay, I haven't made it that far in the comments. Come on. So anyway, I thought K-State was going to be. I thought K-State was going to be a good team, right?
Mark.
UNC, I didn't think that they would be very good, and they're not. So, and the big thing is Bill Belichick, right? I guess they're having a Kansas fight, guys. Just so you know, AP, before he became a UCF fan by marriage years ago and started the first UCF podcast, he played for the University of Kansas. In fact, he knows Terry Mohajir because Terry Mohajir was there at the same time. So you have to forgive Andrew when he gets a little sensitive about the University of Kansas. All right, let's go back and swivet and talk about the score predictions for last week. I'm going to run through those real quick. As a reminder, we won 68.
Did you see me take that big deep breath? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm interrupting again. But did you see? I took a big deep breath because I'm not even gonna. Yeah.
And Tim, I
can't
I
log in for some reason, so we'll just let that go.
Tim, I agree. 5-1 UCF will make every person in Nebraska totally lose their minds. Remember that guy? I don't know if you remember when Scott Frost was on there. He kind of became a thing where he was a Nebraska fan that would record from the toilet. So I think that guy makes it back to the big time if that happens. But last week, the actual score was 68-7. Ben had 45-7. So that was a difference of 23. Josh, 48-10, difference of 23. So tied with Ben. Nobra, 24-10. I don't know where he came up with that. 47 difference. And that was the high water mark. Trey, 42-3. So he was a difference of 30. Allen, 35-17, difference of 43. Andrew was uber conservative. 32-7, a difference of 36. And I rounded out the podcast participants because Tim and Mark participated, and we'll give theirs as well. 56-10, so a difference of 15. So for this week, I was the big winner. Last week, I was the big loser. Now, to Tim and Mark, who are in our comments tonight, they predicted Tim 42-17. So that would be 36, and Mark 35-10, both 36-point difference, and good enough for
a UCF first down.
No, it's an OUC first down now, isn't it?
No,
I hope
they
not.
don't pay us
Better
any
not.
money.
Better not have done that.
So that's tied for third, actually, with Andrew. So actually, no, it's not, because Ben and Josh had 23-point difference. So that is tied for fourth, technically. So congratulations to Mark and Tim. We will encourage you guys to continue to give us the score predictions. Obviously, we do not have a score against the bye. So we'll call that a W, and we'll next week we'll come back and we'll get your guys' score predictions so you can participate in this as well. So let's go ahead and swivet one more time and talk about the Big 12. Oh boy.
Whew.
Oh boy. OSU. We mentioned that a little bit earlier. They got a drumming that was worse than what NC A&T got against UCF by Oregon. They absolutely lost their minds. And And yeah, Mike says this. I love this when we're talking about KSU losing to Army after Army just lost to Tarleton State. Tarleton State. Oof.
That's
is
what I'm
right.
saying. I know how it was when Navy was in our conference. I know that it's hard to defend. I know blah blah blah. They lost, and they lost bad, and they should have lost to an FCS team the week before. They're horrible.
Okay, so
Horrible.
Mike, yeah. First of all, it's the Cows. We don't use the correct name for or correct acronym on the show for the school that's directionally challenged from West Central Florida. But yeah, we aren't going to talk about them. They needed to lose. Those that video that I saw on social media of UCF fans cheering them beating the Gators. I'm sorry, guys. Have you lost your way completely?
No.
Boo the moo. Boo the moo.
It was in the stadium. I was
Yeah, you
I
can't
was in
cheer
the
that.
stadium club watching people in the stadium watch that game, and there was a lot of people watching that game, and it blew my mind. It's like
Burger U had people cheering too. That's crazy.
You know, I think most of either college football or the state of Florida like seeing Florida lose. Same with FSU. You know, Miami kind of does it to himself mostly, unless they buy, first round quarterbacks. But we get that. But as UCF fans, like, if you've been around these parts for the last 10, 15, 20 years, if you're a 19-year-old, okay, maybe I get it. You don't have that history more than likely.
Those people were in their 30s. They should be ashamed.
Oh, of course. If you're in the stadium club, you should be ashamed. Like, I'm sorry. No, I don't get it. I don't get it. And look,
no matter what, as much as we dislike the Gators, we dislike the Cows more.
Yeah.
Right? And especially against a number 13, right? Because Lord knows they were already on the internet, on the Twitters or the X's, whatever we want to call it, being twats. And talking about, hey, we should be ranked. We should be number 2. No, you shouldn't. You haven't earned it. You're not even close to earning it. You beat the Gators, who have always seemed to fall apart, who couldn't muster, 16 points they scored? If the number 13 team in the country could only muster 16 points, you didn't beat a good team. So, no. Are they better than what they have been? Yes. Do I think they'll run through their conference now because it's been watered down because we left and Cincy left and
we'll
Houston
see what
left?
happens Monday or whatever Saturday in Miami with that.
Well, yeah, because Miami, by all accounts, they are also highly ranked and seem to be getting a lot of love as well.
My problem is we're just going to hear about it for the next 20 years. The last time they were ranked.
Yeah.
Well, they aren't going to get to number 2. What we'll hear about.
Well, So somebody, I saw an article earlier that had the bowl predictions and all that stuff. Well, they predicted us in a bowl, which was pretty crazy. But also they said that team over there, the Cows, I don't have my computer to play the noise. I'm sorry. But they were saying that they were going to be in the playoff, which I was like, whoa, hold your horses there.
Well, I mean, they have a guaranteed spot for the G5. So, I mean, it's a possibility because if they get through Miami for whatever reason, then the rest of their schedule is butter.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't think it's going to happen. But that's just me.
Dave Portnoy also made a tweet about it, which was pretty crazy, saying if they win against Miami, they should be number 1. Is what he was saying.
Yeah,
I said, pump the brakes, buddy. Like, hold on.
Well,
Barstool.
Speaking of Barstool, the Big 12 just signed a big deal with Barstool as well. So, going back to the Big 12 and talking about the Big 12, Tim says the Mullets of Oklahoma, it should be the Fighting Mullets of Oklahoma, Aggie U, are going insane. They are absolutely going insane. I will tell you this. I would not be surprised if Mike Gundy is fired mid-season. They made him take a pay cut last year. They almost got rid of him last year. If this continues, and we do play them later on in the season, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Gundy isn't fired. To to your point, Andrew, as far as who we play on our schedule and whether it's attainable, we beat UNC. That's 3 wins, right? You get to count 1 FCS, I think. Then we play against, we've got UNC, then we've got K-State. That was a game that I was not expecting to win. So if you get to K-State and you win that game, that's 4 wins. And we finally get that bugaboo off our back, by the way, because we almost beat them the first time we played them in the tornado, the tornado game. So we get that bugaboo off. Now you've got West Virginia, who has not been very good or slated to be very good. I'm still higher on them than what most people are. But right now they're at the bottom, just above K-State. And you've got Oklahoma State. Those are 5 wins. Those are 5 realistic wins. You only need one go 50-50 to get to a bowl game. So that this week, after this week, I feel a whole heck of a lot better about that. Arizona State lost a heartbreaker last minute, which they should have won. Iowa State is still the team to beat. Arizona was trailing, but they're up. BYU is also 2-0, which BYU is going to be a team to watch out. That's another team we play at the end of the year. So barring some sort of injuries, which I don't wish on anybody, that's going to be an interesting game because I think BYU is going to be one of the top teams and maybe the representative for the Big 12 in the playoff. Houston is 2-0. They are a much better team, which I predicted they would be. They are only averaging about 31 points per game, but the points against, again, their defense last year was excellent. They just could not put any points on the board. 9 points. 9 points. So Houston will be a tough out. Texas Tech won. They are 2-0 and ranked number 21. Utah is 2-0 and ranked number 20. Kansas is 2-1. TCU won 48-14. Arizona State obviously is 1-1. We talked about that. Baylor pulled one out there, 1-1. Cincinnati's 1-1. So and Colorado's 1-1. So again, very winnable when it comes to the Big 12 conference. But I'm a little surprised, and we said this at the beginning of the season. Big 12 has a tendency that the top 8 teams that were last year, the top 8 teams that were supposed to be the top 8 teams ended up being the bottom 8 teams, right? And now this year, we do have some retreads, but we have new teams that are in that top 8 that weren't there before. So anything can happen in the Big 12, and anything has happened in the Big 12. The problem I see is we only have 2 ranked teams after 2 weeks, whereas we started with 4. So it'll be interesting. There's still BYU's receiving votes and a few others. So I expect that to change as the season wears on. But I'm very, very surprised. Thank goodness we did win that other game. And to Mark's point, Big 12 is 2-2 versus ranked teams. SEC is 3-2. ACC is 2-4. That very easily could have been Big 12 3-2, SEC 2-3, because that Arizona State game, they should have won. They lost in the waning seconds of that game. And Mike says cheering for UF losing is not the same as cheering for the Cows. That's mind-boggling. We were rooting for the Cows. I hope not. The Cows have a second-order win. Man, he really did not listen to my directionally challenged from West Central Florida thing on here in the comments, did he? Wins over LIU and EW. Those wins are dog poo, right? They mean nothing. Mike says they won't beat Tulane and Memphis. I agree that Tulane and Memphis is going to be tough for them. Mark says Matt Prater is now the 13th all-time in the NFL after kicking a winning field goal for Buffalo in his 19th season. Exciting last-second comeback for Buffalo. Had 62-yard in 2021 and 2023. Could reach up to 10 if they had played the entire season. RJ Harvey, again, he had that big 50-yard run for Denver. Mark, I think in some ways you're writing our notes here. He had that big 50-yard run for Denver. Everybody was kind of saying, including in our text chat, they were saying, hey, what's going on with RJ? He doesn't look great, whatever. He rips off that 50-yard run. And then everybody's back on the RJ train again. Mike says West Virginia lost their RB1, so running back one. I'm just getting caught up with the comments. Tim says, I have 3 cousins who are OSU. Oh boy, they must really be having a tough time. They are so diehard that they will be buried in cowboy hats and in orange coffins. Okay.
It might happen this
That's
year.
really diehard, isn't it?
Yeah, that really
That's too easy.
That is plausible.
Mark says, good news, UCF doesn't have to play undefeated Utah, BYU, Arizona, and Iowa State. This season, if you're talking about our schedule in the Big 12, really plays out favorably. Scott Frost talked about the bye weeks. We had the bye week this week before.
Don't we play BYU?
We do.
I thought we played BYU at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's I think the last game of the season.
Iowa State too.
I don't know if we play Iowa State.
Dang, I'm gonna have to
look up the schedule real quick. I haven't looked at it in a hot minute. But I can tell you.
I guess we don't play Iowa State. We played BYU last game of the regular season.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
At BYU. So
yeah. Baylor will be an interesting game. They're expected to win. Let's see, 9 people left them off their ballots while keeping SMU in. If UCF wins the Big 12, I will not need my prescription of Cialis. Bro, you better re-up. Call your public. Because that ain't happening this year, bro. That's not happening this year, too. As much as I'd like for it to happen. Mind-boggling, yes. So at the end of the day, if we want a quick review of the schedule, you've got UNC, which winnable game, which was announced for Saturday at 3:30 p.m., by the way, today. K-State, then Kansas, then Cincinnati, which is a winnable game. West Virginia, very winnable game. Baylor, that's tough. Houston, it's going to be interesting because it's going to be interesting to see how good our offense is by then, right? Because Houston's got a really strong defense. They carry over a lot of their folks from last year. Their QB, they had a 5-star QB. So I don't know how well their offense is going to be doing because right now they aren't doing much of anything. Texas Tech, that's going to be a tough out. Oklahoma State, if they may not be coached by Mike Gundy by the time we play them. And then finally, BYU at the end of the season. So if you look at that, UNC is a potential win or strong chance of winning. I'll say strong chance of winning. UNC, K-State, West Virginia. There's 3 right there. Okay. Texas Tech, that's 4 in addition to the 2. So that puts us into a bowl game. And the rest of them are right around 40%, 40 to 60%, or 40 to 50%. So basically a toss-up. Oh, that's funny. No time zone lag game following week. Kansas at Kansas or Kansas City again. It should be Kansas. I think they finished their stadium renovations already, didn't they, Andrew?
I'm confused. Yeah, they're playing in their home stadium. They did all but one side of it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. They're going to do the next side of it after.
Mike. Yeah, I'm not considering.
After the season, they're doing the rest of it.
No, Mike, I'm not considering that a win. Kansas at home in the bounce house. I can't remember if Kansas is at home.
Yeah, they come here this year. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Kansas does play at home. So we have UNC in Kansas.
Definitely not going to that game. I'm watching it on TV.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and Kansas State is in Kansas. We play at their place for Kansas State. Let's go ahead and swiv it once again and get into a little bit of listener love. Last week, there was a lot of conversation in the listener love section. So Econ Advisor says, targeting, using helmets as assault weapons. There's no good test for concussion. That easily cost Jackson State the game for sure. For UCF, it was a handful of long receptions with Hurdle, Montgomery, block to spring the TD, the perfect final TD, throw catch, and 4th and 1, amazing tackle to stop and get the ball back with 1:35 to go. That tackle was the play of the game, in my opinion. Scott was able to bring back to Florida a lot of players who'd gone elsewhere, as well as grab a lot of in-state freshmen. So that's sort of like 2016. And Milton was homesick, never experienced humidity. Taven, the best. Here's his hot take that I wanted to bring up and I wanted to ask. He says Taven is the best pure night passer since Blake Bortles, hands down. And he has Milton's touch and catchable ball, some of his ball fakes, footwork, tight spiral. What do y'all think about that one?
I don't know if we're there yet. Personally,
Josh?
I think we need a bigger
Gabriel. I would say Gabriel was probably better. I mean, is he? Can we
come back to this?
Casey,
We're gonna have to because Josh
some
is
flowers
crapping
there.
out
I mean,
again.
I think he is the best passer we've seen.
Josh, you're robot rapping again.
I'm getting rid of everything in my computer. I think he's
all right. I'm just muting him because he's robot rapping again. All right. So anyway, come back when you have a stronger internet connection, Josh. I don't mean to cut you off, but it really just sounds terrible. That being said, I agree with Mike. I think DG is definitely a better passer for sure, pure passer, because that was the question, right? Even with Bortles had the ability to extend plays and throw the ball. He had the ability to run over guys. He was kind of known for that. It was a big body. I think as far as, since the question was pure passer, I do think it's DG for sure. Which is more of an assault in football, spitting or crown of the helmet? I don't know.
I just said spitting. I replied fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which is which, but I think that
that's gross. That's
just gross. But when you're talking about assault, if you're doing that, oh boy, now we're really spiraling. Okay, I'm going to put this one up for Mike, and we're moving on. Okay.
Shoe. Oh my god.
Our response was, I love Taven's touch and strength. The big thing for me is timing with the receivers. With the NCAA, there were some drops. I like that we're spreading the field and we can move the chains a medium distance. I do think we were spoiled by DG, and now that we have a capable passer, people are expecting that. TJ was a 63% passer.
I wouldn't put him in that category yet.
Me neither. And that was
really pumped the brakes on that one.
Yeah.
Not even close.
We lost Josh altogether. So I guess we won't have Josh a sometimes funny fact of the
week.
We'll
see. I mean, once we see more of him, that comparison hopefully could be made. That'd be awesome.
I don't see it. He's got a great arm. He's got a great ball. He's got a great release. He's got good.
There's little things, and I wanted to say this when we were talking about Jacurri earlier. I said it a little bit, but there's little things with quarterbacks that can cause that, I don't know if it's not all decision making. It's the angle, the setting the feet. There's a million different things why a quarterback can be accurate or inaccurate. And a lot of those things can be taught. So we've always talked about how quarterbacks get better, over time, especially the, freshman to sophomore year, if we see a freshman quarterback. But old dogs can still learn new tricks as far as quarterbacks. It could be as easy as setting your feet or I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody needs glasses every once in a while. I've seen that happen. You know what I'm saying? There's a million different things that can make a guy accurate or inaccurate. So.
Well, it's that, and it's the touch, right? So DG was really, really good at dropping high balls that were easier to catch versus because the velocity wasn't as high and they weren't as shallow of a pass.
But he's not a home run fastball thrower either.
No, but I also
just threw the ball effortlessly. So I think he overthrew a couple. Of course he overthrew a couple, but I don't think that's going to be. I hope that's not going to be a huge problem for him.
Big 12 Brad
holding it back.
Big 12 Brad with the hot take of the week. Taven equals Mikey Keene.
Maybe.
No. Taven is so much more dynamic than Mikey Keene. Mikey Keene was a and you know how I felt about this during the JRP. Mikey Keene. Mikey Keene was a decent.
Forgot about JRP already.
Yeah, well, I did.
So
he was a decent system quarterback, right? But he was not going to be a guy that could be a difference maker for you. He's not going to get away running the ball. He was decent as a system quarterback. I don't think it's even close. I think Taven is a way better quarterback.
Thrower.
Mike says laps Mikey Keene as a passer. Mark says need to work on stopping bigger backs. NC and T had 2 big backs we couldn't stop. Taven is Herndon Hooker light. Well, I could see that. Hendon Hooker light. So I could see that. But yeah, I don't know. Big 12 Brad, I appreciate the comment, man, and keep him coming. But that was I was certainly entertained by that one. All right. The next one that I wanted to call out is Madame Boutique, frequent contributor to the show. She says that Josh Lazar has entered the studio. So I guess we will get Josh's sometimes funny fact of the week back. We'll bring him back online here in a minute. The situation was definitely weird. It was still sloppy beforehand. Okay. Let's see here. Does Andrew know we have 70 new players and a new coaching staff, and this was game 1 with all of that? Yes, I said yes.
I think so.
Does.
I mean,
yep. This game had a lot of problems, but our schedule gives us time. And then she mentioned something about interruptions. Andrew,
that's just the way I talk.
That's been a Nightline thing, if you guys know.
It's even harder on this thing because the internet lag that there is, and like all kinds of stuff. It's way harder on this one, especially with a bunch of people.
So Madame Boutique says, and yeah, it is more difficult with 6 people. Frost did in fact say Cam did not have a concussion, and that was what Brandon was telling us. She says, as always, she says, yeah, of course, I'm not. Huh?
I said I heard that differently.
I get. Okay, so some more about the interruption things and some more about Andrew. So with that being said,
I missed all these. Where can I find these on YouTube?
Yes, they're on the comments underneath under the live show.
I don't read the comments. I stopped reading comments like years ago. Just for like you can get into all the people that do well on YouTube and everything say don't read the comments.
Well, I read.
I understand you're doing it like on the side here. I get it, but I'm just saying.
Well, I read all of them and respond to all of them. We appreciate everyone contributing, number one, because it obviously, we talked about a lot of the different things that you guys were talking about in the middle of the show. We also talk about your comments on the videos in the show as well, and they're interesting takes. And we always have feedback that we can get, and we can also talk back to you and say, hey, this is what we thought. So first of all, thank you for liking. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. And thank you for telling your friends. So we had 2 more subscribers join the family again this week. Unfortunately, they had their names as private, so I can't shout you out, and had another 4 people join us on Twitter. So make sure you're telling your friends. You are a part of the show. You make our show better. And with that being said, I'm going to swiv it yet again and add Josh back to the stage for, as you guys all know, Alan is not here for his oxymoronic stat of the week. Josh, what is your sometimes funny fact of the week for this week?
I have an interesting one. So, and it's also not up because I had to reboot my computer. But I have it by memory. We did not score 70 points in this game, unfortunately. But we have scored 70 points a couple times in the last decade or so. the last 2 times we scored 70 points, we had some very interesting statistics specifically on who was the highest running back, the highest yards for running back. So let's talk about it. When was the last 2 times we scored 70 points, and who were the running backs who had the most yards in those games? Let's try it.
I want to say, who was the guy where they scored? This was 2017, I think. He was a coach here for a bit. He was offensive coordinator for a bit. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Red team G5. He was doing really, really well. He's doing well wherever he is now, South Texas or wherever. Anyway,
Kenny,
go ahead. GJ Kenny, yeah. So as far as the running back, in that game, I believe that was 2017, was it not, Josh?
There's one of the games is 2017. The comments have the right game, but not the right leading rushing. Don't search it.
Josh, I'm gonna mute you. I guess we'll never find out the answer to that one because he's robot rapping. So Mike says JRP against Temple ? And IDR who led us versus Austin P. Mark says, who was the last interior lineman to score a TD for UCF? Mike says Rodney Laura, and he did it on Saturday. I was gonna say, Mark says before Laura. Mike says womp womp. And Big 12 Brad says Gus really ran through some QBs at UCF. Yes, interesting stat, right? Is we have not had a starting quarterback, right, finish the season as the starting quarterback since KZ did it.
That's crazy.
And technically, he only, he did that for he did that only for one season, because the season before that he did not start in 2016. He was not the starting quarterback in 2016. So I don't think he missed a game in 2017. He missed a game in 2018.
No, correct.
So
let's see if this. I have no idea what's going on, but
you're back. So we've got Austin P game, which is the one I was looking for.
Correct. Who was the running back? Who was the leading? This is a hint. Who was the leading yard earner? Who is the highest amount of rushing yards? How about that? You won't guess that one.
Was it Greg? Was it Greg McCrae?
No.
Otis?
No.
It wasn't AK?
No.
Was it Mackenzie Milton?
No. Closer.
What? Who are we leaving out?
I'll give you this one.
No, that was.
I'll give you this one. No one has it. It's Noah Vedral.
Oh,
Noah
really?
Vedral. Yes.
Weird.
Yes. Very weird. It was a very weird game. Then the last one
was JRP.
No. The last one was in 2022 versus Temple. Last time we were ranked. And the rushing leader was Tommy Castellano.
Really?
Yes, with 88 yards.
Oh boy.
In the 70-point games, the last two we had, the leader in rushing yards were both quarterback.
Well, I
for
guess,
ESPN.com.
I guess I will say that that makes sense, because he's having himself a whale of a time over at FSU in Gus's system. So I guess we didn't make the right choice as far as that was concerned. But Tommy also had a year at Boston College to hone his skills. All right. So thank you for that, Josh. Let's go ahead and swivel it yet again to the quick update on other UCF sports that Alan and Andrew do not watch.
All right. Let's see if I get chopped and screwed again like Houston. We have women's soccer. They are unfortunately now 5-1-0 in the season. They lost to FIU last week, gave up a score in the 8th minute, and had lots of time to come back and lots of looks that just didn't go through the back of the net. Next up is a away contest versus UNF in Jacksonville on Thursday, September 11th. Men's soccer is now 3-1 after tying the Cows, who are ranked number 22 last week. They're going, the Jacksonville Dolphins are coming to UCF this Thursday on September 11th. They will be playing at 7 p.m. in Orlando. More games in Orlando are happening with the UCF volleyball team, who is 5-1. They beat Stetson and FIU 3-0 and 3-1 respectively last week in the Miami area, and unfortunately lost to Miami 3-0. Those 3 matches that are coming up this week are on the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th, again, all in Orlando. They're facing, respectively, Arkansas State at 7 p.m., FAU at 6 p.m., which will be an autograph session, and Brown at 1 p.m. We have 2 new women's hoops players from Sweden joining the 2025-2026 roster. There's a 5'9" guard who I think I mistyped the name, so I'm going to say Felicia Scholander. Hopefully I get that right. And Maja Hansel, a 6'2" forward.
Hold on. Let's get Andrew's attempt at those. Andrew.
No.
No, you're not going to give it to us? Come on, man. That was the Nightline thing.
Yeah, I can. I might meet those 2 players again because I might yet again be at the first practice in late September. The UCF cross country team will be in Huntsville, Alabama this Friday on 9/12 for the Southern Showcase. Men's golf will play in the Bearcat Invitational starting on Monday, September 15th. So they'll probably have a round through by the time we record again. And lastly, women's golf is in 5th place right now at the Cougar Classic, not in Salt Lake City, but hosted by Charleston. They are 9 strokes behind the first place team, which is the Fighting Danny Whites of Tennessee. That's it for all of the UCF sports that Alan and Andrew do not watch. Back to you, Roger.
And probably not Trey.
Probably not Trey, except for softball.
We've added that there as well. So, all right. So that'll wrap us up because we don't really have anything to talk about for UNC until next week. Join us next week as we welcome the Hill brothers to talk about that. We're going to have as many opposing teams as we can from the College Football Huddle join us so we can preview those games from their fans' perspective, and also so we can talk crap on their podcast.
Maja, by the way, Maja.
There we go.
Maja, thank you.
Maja Hensel.
I like Mark. I like Mark's comment here. He says, after Antoine Jackson's penalized takedown, perhaps Knights need a wrestling team like all the northern schools. Now, UCF used to have a wrestling team. It was a very successful wrestling team. Back in, I don't know when they shut it back down, if it was 80s or 90s, UCF used to have a wrestling team that was very, very successful and competed at a high level. Unfortunately, they did away with wrestling, and obviously we focused on the 16 sports that we carry now. We will not be adding any more for the foreseeable future. Most schools are reducing.
Big 12 has wrestling, I think, though.
They do.
Oklahoma State's really good, I think.
Really good. Iowa's really
Iowa
good.
State,
yeah.
I don't know about Iowa State, but I know Oklahoma State's known well.
Iowa's known. Oklahoma State is definitely known.
They're in the Big 10, so.
Yeah. So I know, but I'm just saying that whole area, like the Midwest, has a lot of
Minnesota,
wrestling. Michigan, Ohio State.
Minnesota had Brock Lesnar back in the day.
There you go. Well, we don't have any Brock Lesnar's, although I would bet that a certain 6'10" German would make a splash in wrestling if he could compete in that sport. That being said, anything else that you guys wanted to talk about for this week? Otherwise, let me leave that question open. Anything else that you guys wanted to talk about for this week or no?
No, just looking for improvement. The next game as well. We need to see some things. It's going to be, I probably won't talk to you next week. So It's so we just need to see a lot of improvement next week or whatever. 2 weeks.
The big thing I want to see is the O-line tighten up on the run game before going into UNC. I think that is a big gap. Some of the wide receivers, especially Burke, needs to hit the jugs machine quite a bit. But overall, this team is coming together much better. I'm much more confident in this team's offense after this week than I was after the last week. Outside of that, defensively, I really need to see the defensive line step up and be who we think they are. And the linebackers have been playing extremely well, which is something that's been a question mark since, 5-6 years, something like that. The defensive backs are playing well. There was that one, I don't remember who the defensive back, I think it was Bell, that got in front of the receiver, swatted the ball down, kept the right. That was textbook cornerback play and something that I'm starting to see a lot more of as far as the defensive backs are concerned. They are absolutely playing better than before. And yes, we do have Parker Boudreaux. Actually, Parker.
Funny thing, I was actually about to reply to that. I just said funny thing that you mentioned him. Today I saw, I still follow him and I talk to him every once in a while. He's doing really well in Japan wrestling.
Awesome.
He's big there. Didn't do too, as well here in the States with the WWE thing, but that's hard to crack. But in Japan, they just made, I think it's All Japan Wrestling. I don't know if that's the correct one, but they just made an action figure of him.
Parker Boudreaux?
Yeah, it's really, really cool looking.
That's awesome. We'll see if we can put that on the X machine. So thank you for that, Big 12, Brad. All right, that's what I'm looking for from our team. Other than that, it's going to be a good bye week. Next week, we'll talk about UNC. There it is, if you can see
awesome.
it.
Easiest way to do it, yeah.
There you go. And you can see all of the browsing history of Andrew there. So that being said,
I looked it up really fast.
I know, I'm joking. Anyway, excited to bring the Heel Brothers on next week. I just want to say thank you to everybody for your comments. Thank you for joining us, and those that I didn't call out from the comments on the YouTube video. Obviously, Big 12 Brad, Mike, Mark Soskin, Tim, all you guys. You make the show better. We really, really appreciate not only the people that comment on the videos, but the folks that participate during the show. Thank you, Tim. Great show. We had a good time doing it. As Andrew said, it felt like Nightline plus Josh.
Mostly Josh, sometimes Josh.
Mostly sometimes Josh when he wasn't robot rapping. So hopefully he'll get his internet fixed by next week. But we'll have Trey and the guys back next week as well.
I think it might have been the VPN. I don't know.
I don't know. And thank you for the subscription, Big 12 Brad. We appreciate it. Tell your friends, subscribe, like, share, go Knights, and
charge on.
Charge on, baby.
What it do, baby? It's the Iceman Pow Wow. We need to chop and screw this entire podcast.